What's up everybody, BigSweetC here with you. Got a special little video for you today. I want to continue this discussion that we've kind of been having on and off and on about The Last of Us 2. And because the reason I want to continue this is, if you haven't noticed, or maybe you did notice, if you did check it out, we have started our second live stream playthrough of The Last of Us 2. We are doing a permadeath run to see how far we can get before I end up dying. And the truth of the matter is, there are a lot of aspects to this game that are very, very good. Now, there's a lot that you can complain about. My whole thing is the story is terrible, but there's a lot of good things about this game too, and specifically the gameplay. The truth of the matter is, this is one of the most fun games to play with arguably the best gameplay mechanics in the business right now. When you are not sitting there being distracted by what they call a thought-provoking story narrative, you are in the middle of a pandemic where you happen to have infected, along with some irredeemable humans as well, all that attempt to murder poor Ellie or Abby or Lev or Yara or Owen or Joel or whoever it is you happen to be playing at the time. There is a lot of obstacles that come at you, and when you play the game, you have to go through these certain moments where you're kind of in these environments and you have to survive, and those are really truly the golden pieces of The Last of Us 2. So part 1 was a fantastic combination of both story and gameplay. Well, this one, it's not as good a dynamic in my opinion, but I actually think the gameplay picks it up a notch in this one. I think it's a little bit better. So in the first one, there wasn't a whole lot of lag and stuff like that. It was pretty relatively smooth and easy going. In this one, they've kind of added to it. So again, it's very smooth. It's very polished. It looks fantastic. The camera angles are fantastic for it. It's kind of like a combination, like third-person tactical strategy mixed with almost like a God of War type of stuff. That blends in perfectly, and you can do it in a couple of different ways. You can do it the stealthy way, you can do it the guns blazing way, kind of a combination of the two. You've got bow and arrows, you've still got your rifles, you've got the toys that you can make, so you've got your smoke bombs, you've got your fire molotovs and stuff like that, that you can make still, and it generally gives you a lot of different ways to play through the game, and for that, it really does a fantastic job of doing that well. And in this one, they've added a little bit to it. So now you have like a listen ability that you can add into the game if you want, so you can kind of tell where people are, where they're going, how their trails are. To kind of combat that and make it a little bit more difficult, they now have scent sniffing dogs, which I think is a fantastic idea. They kind of follow around your little trail, which gives it again another little like quirk to, if you get really good at the stealthy stuff, now you have this other obstacle that you got to clear if you want to do it that way. So it kind of forces you to maybe try and play a different way. Which I really, really like. The environments are fantastic. The housing structures and the buildings you go through. The fact that it's you're in Seattle and it's basically become overrun with this like tall grass and ivy really adds to the stealth aspect of it. Now you can, not only can you like hide out in tall grass, but you can literally crawl through it now so you can't get seen. And because they might have had that in the first one, I think a little bit, but I don't really remember it being as prominent a feature as this one. They've also added a couple of enemies. So you have the big gross kind of looks like a pus ridden dude like like a walking HPV monster. You know what I mean? So they have him again in it, but they now have him where he also throws like acid at you as well. They have creepers that come out of the walls now. Shoot, what do they call it? Sneakers, shoot, I can't remember what they're officially called, but they haven't so to speak hatched out of their little wall growing thing, cocoon, if you will, that you're in. So you'll be walking into a room not knowing that there's anybody in there, and they just pop out of the wall. Like, I mean, they do have a ton of really, really cool stuff added to it. And like I said, it plays very well. It's very smooth. There's no lag. There's no delay in response from the AI. The AI is pretty reliable, but they also, they seem to have made them a tad smarter. So they're not quite as, when they get alarmed, they go off and they tell other people now, as opposed to just kind of run at you, so to speak. So it's definitely added to the game. And while there is still generally concerns with the whole thing is it's a story narrative game, right? And so the story should be the main focus of it. But the gameplay trumps the fact, at least now that I'm over the initial shock of how much I didn't enjoy playing it the first time. Now that I'm over that shock, I kind of know what's coming in the story. It's given me a chance to kind of ignore the cutscenes and just enjoy playing the game as I go through, because it is really fun to play. The environments, I was saying this earlier, are fantastic, and you can do a lot of creative things with the upgrading and whatnot. I know they were talking about having some maybe multiplayer, and apparently word on the street is that they might have it as a separate game. Now that is, man, if they did that, Naughty Dog would basically be signing their death sentence, because this game is not good enough to stand on its own. It's just not. It is just not good enough to stand on its own as a full price game. So hopefully they decide to make the multiplayer that I hear. Now it's just a leak. I try not to talk about rumors too much until it's official. But if there is going to be multiplayer, let's hope that they just add it to the game already, because they owe it to the fans. Like I was not talking... I've mentioned this before, where I think it's idiotic if you bought the game and played it all the way through, you should be able to get your money back. I think that's a stupid idea. But I also think it becomes incumbent on companies, when you have such a trash product and the fan base, the consumer base, has basically told you that your product is garbage, it is incumbent on you to then make it up to the consumer if you expect them to keep coming back to you. So now maybe people will be like, oh, you know what, I don't really care. They also have the Watch Dogs series or whatever it is they also have. But in my opinion, I'm pretty sure Naughty Dog, I'm pretty sure The Last of Us is like really the only Naughty Dog games that I play. I think they're the Uncharted stuff as well, but I've never played the Uncharted series. I played a little bit of Tomb Raider. That might be them as well. But it is, from what I can remember, Naughty Dog is basically The Last of Us for me. So if they do come out and they want to charge you for an entirely new game on the multiplayer, I will not buy that. And I will pretty much call out Naughty Dog as a company that is no longer worth supporting, because they need to make it up how bad this game was. Now, I know I wanted to keep this on the positive, because I do generally think it is a very, very positive gameplay aspect. There are a lot of good things in this game, and I do think if you find it on sale, or if you've already played it and you just didn't like the story, I do generally encourage you to give it a second chance, because having gone back, and I mean, we're through most of the setup BS. in our playthrough. We've gone through the whole Joel thing with Abby. We've made our way into Seattle with Dina and Ellie. So I'm far enough along into it that I can confidently say that I'm not going to be as upset with the story, and it's not going to ruin my game, my playthrough as much as it did the first time I went through. So because of how fun the game is, genuinely fun to play, and how polished the gameplay has become in this second one, it is worth giving it a second shot, or picking it up on like sale. You know, maybe the PlayStation Store or whatever gives it like 50% off at some random summer sale, or maybe you wait till Christmas. But the gameplay is really fun. So the actual physical gameplay, it's very smooth, no lag. Like for a game, and I know I keep bringing this up, but for a game of this type, where you have so many different variables all in the same stage, so close together, on a console, it can really kind of bog down the CPU. And the PlayStation, now I have a base PlayStation 4 from like, I don't know, second release or something. It's fairly old, and it's a base one, and it handles this game phenomenally. I thought for sure there were going to be times when I drop frames. It kind of looks like you're playing out in slow motion, but I've had literally no problems with that, and I can't tell you how many times I've had literally a dozen people on the screen, and for it to not lag, that's really impressive to me for a base PlayStation 4. Now, if I was playing it on a PlayStation 4 Pro or maybe a PC, I would kind of expect that, with a dozen people. But on a base PS4, with the I don't want to say pathetic, because it's better than the Xbox GPU, but the less refined GPU of the PlayStation 4, I have been very impressed with the way it's been able to handle the sometimes dozens of people on screen, all running at me ready to eat my guts. So hats off to that. It is the gameplay is worth checking out. It's still not going to give it go from like 1 thumb up to 2. I will give it the 1 thumb up because the gameplay is good, but the story is never gonna the story is never gonna get a thumbs up from me. So unless maybe Noam Chomsky wants to take me under his wing over at MIT and teach me a general studies class on this game or something, and he can explain to me why it had to be this way. But check out one of the previous videos that I had. Much better story, in my opinion. Much better story, because it doesn't have useless characters, and in this story there's useless characters all over the place. But I digress. Anyway, I don't want to, again, not gonna get into the negative stuff. Totally positive stuff. Major props to Naughty Dog on the gameplay. But my warning to them, I hope it's just a leak. I hope it's just a warning, or just a rumor. But I am warning you right now, Naughty Dog. If you make the multiplayer a separate game, or paid DLC, you will tank. You will basically sign your death sentence as a viable video game company. You will have pulled a Bethesda, and we all know how everybody feels about Bethesda. I don't know if there's any coming back for Bethesda. Fallout 6 better be, Fallout 5, whatever it is that we're on, better be the greatest game of all time, because I've never seen a company fall like Bethesda did, and I can only see it getting worse than that for Naughty Dog if they attempt to do this paid DLC or separate game multiplayer, because your only redeeming quality in The Last of Us Part 2 is the gameplay. So do us all a favor, do us fans a favor, don't destroy the faith that we have left in you, and throw us a bone here. Give us that fantastic multiplayer that you gave us in the first one, because your gameplay is awesome, and we want to like your franchise. I can promise you this. As a Last of Us fan, talking with my other friends that are Last of Us fans, we want to like your franchise, but we're not just gonna buy anything anymore, you know? I mean, it's plain and simple. Video gamers, more than anybody, are not just gonna buy into anything anymore. You might get Democrats, but gamers are not buying crap anymore. And Naughty Dog, heed my words. If you make this a separate paid department for the multiplayer, you will have ruined the only good thing about The Last of Us Part 2, and you will also have killed any relationship you might have had left with your fan base. Just my opinion. Either way, that's going to do it for this one. BigSweetC, that's me, wishing YouTube, that's you, wonderful day, night, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it might be. Long as you're watching, I'm wishing you a wonderful watching time. If you happen to have a wonderful watching time, please do me that favor, hit that like and subscribe button. If you've done those two things, do yourself a favor, hit that notification bell next to it so you know when I do drop a new video or go live here on YouTube. Either way, sweetness, signing off. Peace.